Friday night, Bob McAdoo scored 50 points as the Buffalo Braves beat the Washington Bullets. Today, you'll see if Big Mac can do it again in the rematch. Elvin Hayes hopes to be around longer than he was Friday night. The Big E fouled out in the third quarter. Jimmy McMillan came through with his best performance of the playoffs. He backed up McAdoo with 18 points. Wesley Unseld pulled down 23 rebounds. His job is to keep McAdoo off the boards at both ends as Washington and Buffalo square off in Game 5 of their playoffs.
If you're going to serve wings or ranch, I don't want to do business with you. I get up and leave, even if I don't get the wings. It's either blue cheese or wings to go from wings to go from wings.
That's right, never mind who you thought it was. This is the Buffalluminati Podcast, your keeper of Buffalo secrets. We got a great episode for you today, but first, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. I'm your co-host, Jake, and joining me on this lovely spring evening is my co-host, Jeff. Jeff, how you doing? I mean, sun's out, birds are chirping, geese are coming back and shitting all over my parking lot.
They're shitting everywhere. And I got a little fun fact about geese. You know why when geese fly in a V, well, you know why one side's always longer than the other?
No, why is that?
Got more geese on it.
Okay. I've had enough of both. Speaking of silly geese, my co-host, Jeff.
I've had enough of both of you. Is that what you just said?
I don't know. Yes, you and the geese. You acting like a silly goose. I've had about enough.
Those are our homies, the Canadian geese, the CGs.
So with springtime comes a lot of sports, and a lot of winter sports are wrapping up. We got the NHL playoffs happening right now, and what we're going to focus on today a little bit is the NBA. The NBA playoffs are happening right now. I know your team, New York Knicks, are in the semifinals. Finals?
Conference semifinals.
Right
now. Yeah.
Against the Boston Celtics, who we will be mentioning later. But I thought today we would cover a little bit of old school Buffalo lore with the much beloved but often untalked about Buffalo Braves.
Huge.
That's true. I mean, they're still popular today in like kind of a cult way. I don't know, like they still have a cult following in Buffalo. People always want to bring back an NBA team here, which I obviously that would be awesome, but
awesome.
I don't think we currently have the facilities for it, especially given all the turmoil around the arena.
I mean, I think we're lucky to have what we have at this point. I mean, going back into like the history of sports teams in like even the state of New York, we had 3 NBA teams with one in Syracuse and Rochester as well, and then they all left.
That's true. And did you know, I found out in my research that this wasn't the only Buffalo NBA team that existed. In the early 60s, there was an NBA team called the Buffalo Bisons.
Nice.
And they played in Buffalo for 38 days.
Hell yeah.
Before moving to Illinois and eventually becoming the Atlanta Hawks. I didn't look at how that timeline happened from Illinois to Atlanta, but the Atlanta Hawks were at one point the Buffalo Bisons, just like the now Los Angeles, formerly San Diego Clippers were formerly the Buffalo Braves.
after a series of unfortunate events.
Yes, unfortunate, I think, is the word that most Buffalonians would use. But looking at it on its face, even the research we were doing the other day, it just seems like a lot of greed and in a lot of different directions just played against the Braves and the Braves players.
A lack of strong ties to Buffalo, like ownership wise as well, is part of the reason for that.
That's true. And we'll get into that in just a moment. But I want to just touch on the year 1970 for Buffalo and Buffalo sports, because it was a big one, possibly one of the biggest we've had since Josh Allen has graced our presence here in Buffalo. In 1970, we had the founding of the Buffalo Braves. They were established here. First basketball team in the early expansion of the NBA. In addition to that, another huge sport for Buffalo, hockey. NHL was expanding, and we got the Buffalo Sabres. Huge. I mean, they're still around to this day, so huge. And that also happened to be the year that the Buffalo Bills joined the NFL and officially became part of the NFL as we know it today during the merger of the AFL and NFL. So it was a great time for sports. However, the Braves, it seems, immediately took the backseat because everybody was fighting for the odd.
Yeah, exactly like you said, man. They immediately took the back seat, which is it's a crying shame. But they, unfortunately, the Sabres took priority. Canisius College, right behind them, super popular at the time, the basketball program. And from the way I understand it, they were boxed out. Snyder basically had to put his games during their home games during the week because the Sabres had a lockdown on Sunday, and Canisius College had a long-standing contract for Saturday nights.
Yeah. And this is with the odd, just to mention, the Buffalo Memorial Auditorium.
At the odd, Buffalo Memorial Auditorium, locally famously known as the odd.
Rest in peace.
And that's what caused the dispute, because Snyder and the Braves were getting pressure from the league because the league hated not being the priority, especially being third priority behind a college basketball team when they had like TV network deals on the line and they had to wait for scheduling, things like that. So they were getting pressure, fighting over the odd spots to the point where the league gave an ultimatum: you got 5 years to figure it out, or you got to move the team.
Yeah, it really did seem like a no-win situation for Paul Snyder and the Braves at the time. They were doing their best, though. During that time, they had 3 playoff appearances from 74 to 76 before things really started to change hands. And we'll get into that with the newest owner who ended up taking over during this time, because I believe at that point the 5-year ultimatum had lapsed. So it was either kind of move or sell, and Snyder chose to sell to John Y. Brown Jr., who is of Kentucky Fried Chicken fame, of all things. I believe it was him or his father, or both of them, worked very closely with the Colonel and really made KFC what it is. They also owned the Kentucky Colonels, who were also supposed to be part of the NBA expansion, but due to financial issues, which are largely blamed on John Brown Jr., the team collapsed. So what a way to get back into it than buying the Braves and letting them collapse.
intentionally. That's the saddest part. They tore it down because they wanted to leave, and the city ended up suing them and the league because they did us dirty, tried to get out of the contract with the odd.
Yeah, to move
there
to
was such
Miami.
Yeah, and we had to sue them. We had to sue them to keep them, which is never a good thing. That's not the sign of a healthy relationship.
No.
When you got to bring legalities into it, and yeah, so obviously it seemed like John Brown here. He's a little bit of a spiteful guy, and they re-upped their lease with the odd, and he was not going to let that slow him down. So he purposely dismantled the team so that he could get out of his lease with the odd and make the moves that he ultimately did.
The head coach at the time, Jack Ramsey, who had led them to their playoff runs, left.
He left. He wasn't sure. He saw the writing on the wall.
Right. He went to the Portland Trailblazers and the very next year won a championship. So he was fine.
Yeah.
And would go on to become a Hall of Fame coach. So
it's and that just adds to the what could have been, because obviously he was a great coach. He had such a good team.
Exactly. And then our star player, Bob McAdoo, they traded him away. He would go on to win championships and then become a coach of the Miami Heat and win championships as a coach and just become an overall NBA journeyman and Hall of Famer. And widely regarded as one of the best to ever do it.
Also, another player, doesn't say his name on the Wikipedia, but he, like, at the time while he was tanking the team, their rookie ended up winning Rookie of the Year, which was like at least their third. So they have at least like 3 Rookie of the Year awards in their short history. He ends up winning Rookie of the Year, very next offseason traded. It's just like literally what they were doing. Like they were just tearing the team apart.
Yeah, and from my understanding is even at the time it wasn't very, or I should say it was very transparent. Like the city kind of knew what they were doing, the fans knew what they were doing, and I got to imagine that being in Buffalo at that time had to be, and like you get all these sports, and I get that like it's in different directions, but I feel like you don't, even back then we didn't want to lose a sports team. Because that was something we've always been passionate about sports, no matter what they are.
Right. That's why he had to tank the team.
Yeah, in order to make it happen.
Just being a sports fan myself and like learning this history for the first time, because I wasn't really super familiar with it, kind of makes me sick, because like I just picture being there and watching them dismantle my team.
Right.
For the known purpose of trying to move them. And it's just like similar to what we've seen it with the Bills, where they weren't purposely dismantling them or anything, but like the league was putting pressure on our ownership and wanted us to move the team. And we as a community were like, no, probably traumatized from the 70s when it happened to us. And we're like, no, we don't want it. Don't do it.
Right. And
it's sad. It's I'm so mad about it now that I can't do anything about it. I'm so upset.
So yeah, the team is totally tanked. The city's pissed off. And it's just a mess here in Buffalo for the Braves, unfortunately. And one businessman decided to come in, take advantage of the situation. And I can't even hate on him as much as I can, John Brown, for just him purposefully tanking the team and not trying anything. But that said, Irv Levin, who was the owner of the Boston Celtics, comes in, and a trade is proposed, a franchise trade, because Irv wants to go back to California, get back into the Hollywood scene that he was in before, and he knew that the NBA wasn't going to move the Celtics because, come on. Even then, in the early years of the NBA, like, that just wasn't happening. So he proposed this trade to John Brown. John gets the Celtics, and Irv gets the Braves with the express intent of moving them to California.
Based on just based on what I heard, it almost sounds like they gave him the idea because they knew Irv wanted out of Boston or wanted to move a team to the California area. And it's all based on what I researched. It sounds almost like they were like, this is, if you want to do that, here's an option.
And it was successful for everybody because the Celtics are the Celtics. They're a successful franchise as far as, this is even pre-Larry Bird, so we haven't even seen those years of the Celtics yet. And the Clippers have gone on to be a successful franchise as well, which I take a little bit of pride in that, being that they had humble beginnings. And I guess I got to take a little bit of pride in the Atlanta Hawks now, being that I know where they came from.
And they take advantage of the history. They got the Braves throwbacks.
That's true. They did the colors because everybody in Buffalo, and I think a lot of the branding, you even have a shirt that is the black and red, the black and orange. But for a lot of the later years, they were in Columbia blue, white, and black. And I've seen those throwback jerseys. I'll throw one up here, that's great. And we do just got to touch on the end of our story. We got to find out what happened to Irv. So Irv did go on back to Hollywood, and he decided to sell the team. And I didn't realize that the lineage is that close, the 6 degrees of separation. He sold the team to Don Sterling, which that in and of itself is a whole other episode that we're not going to cover because it didn't happen here.
Yep, that's not a Buffalo thing.
No, that's a San Diego old man billionaire piece of crap
100%.
thing.
It's 100% an LA thing.
Yep. So it wasn't all roses for the Clippers, obviously. And even looking at Canisius, weren't you mentioning the other day they fell off after we left?
Yeah. A permanent drop-off, I believe, was the phrase that I saw describing it. So from the 80s moving on, permanent drop-off. And yeah, what I was saying to you was that's, Father Dembski playing games with the Lord said,
That's right. Is it a curse? So enough about curses and dirty, scummy old men, billionaires, and let's wrap this up here. Rest in peace, the Braves. I hope that there's a way we can get an NBA team back, but I think it would involve a new arena because even the NHL doesn't want the arena that we have. Even the city and the county don't want the arena that we have right now. So,
and I don't think LA's given up the rights to the Braves.
No, but we can always, like we said, subject to change anyway. It's a different time, so it can't be the Bisons either. So we'll figure it out. I'm sure.
The Buffalluminati.
Here's our promise to you: when you guys get us super famous and we become multi-billionaire media moguls, we will bring an NBA team to Buffalo.
I'll buy the Lakers and move them.
That'd be gonna be quite a few billion for that, I'm sure. That's not gonna go.
Oh, that's gotta be like 10 billion at this point. 10 B's.
You know what we could do? It would be super insulting. Is just buy the Clippers and bring them back. Like,
oh, yeah. What am I talking about?
Yeah,
buy the Clippers and
you're not thinking petty enough, Jeff. Buy the Clippers and just bring them back in the middle of the night, just like when the Baltimore Ravens moved the first time. Just overnight, just pack them up and.
Yeah. Oh, that would be so good. All right.
That's been this episode of the Buffalluminati. Be a good neighbor today and every day. I'm Jake. He's Jeff. We'll see you.